Hello, my name is Leslie Whitty. I'm the Vice President of Outreach and Communication for the South Central Workforce Development Board, and we welcome you to another episode of Inside Jobs. My guest today will be the President and CEO of the South Central Workforce Development Board, Dr. Robert Boone, and our topic is going to be my workforce future. And not only is this something that could benefit job seekers, it definitely can benefit employers as well. So I'm excited to learn more about this and to speak with you today, Dr. Boone.
Thank you, Leslie. It's great to be on.
Well, let's start with why has this program, why has this come about? What needs were existing to sort of result in this being created?
Well, we've worked with employers and job seekers for years in the workforce development space. And one theme kept reemerging in our work with job seekers and employers. And that is, you can't get a job without experience, and you can't get experience without a job. So we really looked to create an entity that would allow employers and job seekers to gain what we call in the industry work-based learning. So work-based learning oftentimes, to some degree, can be even a substitute for formal education that may be achieved in a classroom. So work-based learning really is on-the-job training, on-the-job learning. Oftentimes, employers are a little reluctant to engage in work-based learning because there's a lot to it. There is a lot to hiring employees, as any employer can attest. So we wanted to make that easier for employers and therefore easier for job seekers. So we looked at what our staffing agencies were doing, and we wanted to serve as a nonprofit staffing concept where My Workforce Future is the employer of record for job seekers that are gaining real life experience on the job. Because we really needed this in our region. And then as we started to branch out, we learned that this is needed in other areas of the state and really all across the country. Work-based learning is a really great way to gain skills, to build professional networks, to get your foot in the door for an employer. And it doesn't matter if you're a young adult or an adult who's reentering the workforce or maybe entering the workforce for the first time. Work-based learning is a great way to advance your career, to start a career. And we wanted to create an entity, a nonprofit that made that a lot more streamlined and easier for our employers and for our job seekers. So that's really the why behind the creation of My Workforce Future.
And that makes a lot of sense. The first thing I thought of is when I was working on my undergraduate degree in English, I wanted to teach high school. And I took all these education classes and they were very, very beneficial. But that first experience I had in the classroom as a student teacher, that was incredible. I felt like that is where I really was able to synthesize all that information. And that was a huge experience for me. So what you're saying is the whole, you can't get a job without experience. You can't get experience without a job. My Workforce Future, this entity addresses both of those issues.
That's right. It connects job seekers to employers and employers to job seekers, and then is a conduit through which work-based learning can happen and people can get paid for learning on the job. And it benefits the job seeker because they get the knowledge and skills from work-based learning, and it benefits the employer because they get someone to complete a certain job, but also they get to look at candidates and how, they are actually on site at the workforce before hiring them on full time.
Very good. And we've gotten into a little bit of this already, as far as what my workforce future is. But just to make sure I'm following, this is a nonprofit entity. It is a staffing solution, and one of the main focuses is work experience. Would that be a fair description?
That's right. That's right. And I'm so glad you put this slide up here because there are so many key components of my workforce future contained in this slide. So we are what I consider us to be a sustainable and growth-minded staffing solution. And we're a new solution. So we're new to the market. That's why no one watching this has probably heard of us. We are brand new. Based on a need that we perceived in our region, throughout our state, and throughout our country, for a staffing agency solution to not only recruit good talent, but to mentor talent and train talent through work-based learning for the jobs that exist both now and in the future. And we do that really seamlessly while acting as the employer of record for our employees, to give them real world experience. And we're dedicated just not to, a lot of staffing agencies are really generally concerned with filling certain roles for employers. And there is certainly a need for that kind of workforce development system in the marketplace. And this program, My Workforce Future, is a little bit different, though. So we are concerned with filling those jobs, yes, but we're also concerned with the curriculum, mentorship, and training that is happening on the job. So not only do we fill the staffing agency function of finding good talent to fill roles, we overlay that with particular training and curriculum and mentorship, because we are a sustainable and growth mindset organization. And our goal is to create excellent employees for our local market, for our state market, for our national market. So that's my workforce future in a nutshell.
Very good. And one of the things that you mentioned to me just in conversation that really stuck out to me is the idea that my workforce future is a staffing solution with heart. And I think that that's very important to make that distinction, that there is focus on mentors, additional support, curriculum, and training, other than just what someone might gain on the job itself.
That's right. And that's really where the staffing agency with heart comes in, through the mentorship, training, and recruitment component. And that phrase came out of a work session. So I'm one of the partners that helped get My Workforce Future off the ground. There are several workforce leaders in the state that came together and had this idea for the entity My Workforce Future. And one of my colleagues actually came up with the very elegant way of explaining what we want to do, and that is a staffing agency with heart, one that is dedicated to really sustainable and growth solutions, so that we're just not putting someone in a position, but we're putting someone in a position with the right training, mentorship, to go along with it. So it's very much a learning experience. I look at us in large part, not fully as just a staffing solution, but really as a training solution. We are staffing and training, and much like an educational provider. That's who we seek to be as an organization.
Well, and the way you're explaining it, it sort of makes me look at the name as having two different meanings. My workforce future could be me as a job seeker. This is my workforce future. But for employees and just for the general population, what you're doing is helping to build a future workforce for everyone.
Yep.
So I think I just wanted to mention that. I think that's a cool way in hearing how you're describing it.
Yeah, great way to look at it.
As far as how my workforce future is different, you touched on that a little bit already, but what are some of the ways that truly does make it a unique concept, something that we haven't touched on yet?
Absolutely. So when we talk in terms of work-based learning, the gold standard of work-based learning are apprenticeships. So I know a lot of our employers have heard this term before, and it's kind of an elusive term in a lot of ways because it's clearly defined in many cases, but also up to interpretation in many cases. So apprenticeship really is a high-level work-based learning where classroom instruction is combined with on-the-job hands-on experience. And that hands-on experience is contextualized in the classroom, and what's in the classroom is contextualized in on the job. So really, it's the best way to learn. We all know, just based on how we are in the workforce, that there's no substitute for actually getting in, reading it, and doing it. Doing it, it's a good way to learn. Reading it, it's a good way to learn, but combining those two, you really have some context for learning at that point. You have, you have this concept of cognitive webs where knowledge sticks. Well, work-based learning, combining classroom instruction with on-the-job training, it really builds a really robust cognitive web for learning to stick. And when learning sticks, people are excellent employees. So apprenticeship is the gold standard in that. And oftentimes employers don't take advantage of the gold standard because it is a good amount of work. It's like having, in some cases, your own training arm of your organization. You may be focused on manufacturing products. That is what you do. Not all employers are focused on training. Because they are focused on the product that they're producing, whatever that is. Well, my workforce future is focused on the product of creating an excellent workforce. So we are the outsourced organization that employers can leverage to really help them with their training needs. We're the outsourced training arm of an employer, where we can facilitate difficult things like apprenticeships and the employer of record status that you have to do, and all the insurances that you have to maintain, and all the curriculum that you have to deliver, and all the hours of tracking that need to be done for apprenticeships. We do all of that. So we do that heavy lift while maintaining the employee on our payroll. And then the employer gets the benefit of having the employee on site, doing a job, learning, and then eventually transitioning on, if this is what the employer and apprentice decide, to full-time employment. And that's the same way with our work experience programs. The work experience programs are not apprenticeships. They're more like paid internship types of roles, but we maintain the insurances, we maintain the payroll, and we deliver the curriculum, just like on-the-job trainings. That's very, very similar. And really, with work experience and on-the-job training, something that we can do that's truly unique as the entity My Workforce Future is we are poised very well to leverage financial resources of the public workforce system. So many people on this webcast who are viewing it have heard of Kentucky Career Centers, the public workforce system. So My Workforce Future is really poised to partner with the public workforce system and leverage financial resources to help with this effort. So to give you an example, on the job training and work experience, in many cases, up to $3,000 can be used toward that person's wages. So the employer is not out any money up to $3,000 because for those who qualify, the public workforce system will pay those wages. And then the employee is getting to train the employer is getting to train the employee in the skills that they want and need, and the employee is getting that benefit. So that's just one example of how our organization stands out and can leverage resources, financial and otherwise, to really help train the best employees possible for our marketplace.
So just to make sure I've gotten all this, because it's one entity, but you're looking at two different primary audiences: job seeker and employer. So if I were an employer and I came to my Workforce Future and I said, I need some help with some staffing, and I really like the idea of an apprenticeship, but all the paperwork, all the fine print, all the additional work that goes into that was keeping me from taking that step. What I'm hearing you say is my Workforce Future, the entity, would actually be the employer of record. So they would be in charge of all of that.
That's right.
Okay.
So my Workforce Future as an organization would essentially run the apprenticeship program. The company, the employer would outsource that to my Workforce Future. We would run it, we would track it, and the employer and the employee would get the benefit of the gold standard apprenticeship. But all of the bureaucratic work, the liability, those types of things would be outsourced to my Workforce Future.
And that's a big issue with employers, especially like in manufacturing. I know initially insurance is huge. So that is something that my Workforce Future would be handling as well.
That's right. Yes.
And very last thing, I want to make sure I get everything straight. So for some participants, I think I heard you say is that there is also an additional benefit in that some workforce programs can actually help pay that person's salary for a while. Is that?
That's right. So my Workforce Future is poised really well to help employers navigate the public workforce system and locate funding that will help them set up work-based learning programs. So in many cases, employers won't be out any money, at least not for the first $3,000 or so in wages for an employee, because many times the public workforce system, because its dedication to work-based learning and the transformative power of work-based learning, will fund those types of experiences.
So for employers, it's like, hey, you don't have to worry with a lot of extra paperwork. You don't have to worry about liability insurance there at the beginning. And you may also not have to worry about some wages in the beginning.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. Powerful.
Absolutely. Who all is eligible to participate in my Workforce Future? Is it, I know we talked about apprenticeships, and that, at least in my mind, I associate that with young adults, but is that the entirety of who can be a part of this program?
So, and this is really kind of why we're very excited about my Workforce Future. It has so much potential to help so many people and so many employers. And many people do think of apprenticeships as being a program that only young people can take advantage of, participate in, but that's not the case. Apprenticeships can and are open to anyone. In fact, I would even make the argument that apprenticeships, on-the-job training, paid internships, that whole realm of work-based learning is probably best suited for individuals who may just be making a career move. Because if you're making a career move, say you're in the retail sector right now, and you want to move into a higher wage position, you don't really oftentimes have the time and other resources to go to college or to go back to college for more training or a degree. You just don't have it. But with an apprenticeship, with a paid internship, you can take your transferable skills that you got working in retail, and you can add to those transferable skills new skills needed, say like in the area of manufacturing, for example. And it's not always needed to go back to college and pursue further education, because you already have good skills. You just need to capitalize on those good skills. And you can do that through on-the-job training. And the best way to do that is usually when people stop out of the workforce for a career change and go to college, they're missing out on income. They can work part-time. I've done it. I know a lot of people who have done it, who have worked full-time or part-time and gone to school. But sometimes it's very, very hard. It's especially hard if you're a single parent. So this is a way for you to get work experience, to transition into a new sector at a higher wage while still getting a paycheck. So you're getting skills and you're getting a paycheck because you never left the workforce. You're just training in the workforce for something bigger and better. So really, I think it's open to anybody, but I don't want people to get in the mindset that it's just available for young adults, because really this program can be even more powerful for those who are making a career change. Maybe they've been laid off from employment and looking to re-enter the workforce. Maybe they're just looking to make a change and make more money or have a better schedule. This is right for you. Likewise, if you're a high school student and you're going to graduate soon, or if you just want a paid internship, kind of like a job shadowing experience, or even an apprenticeship, this program can be for you too, because work-based learning is very, very powerful in showing you what the world of work is like. So I would encourage anybody before entering a degree program to engage in work-based learning, because oftentimes, and I've talked to a lot of my friends, I have a lot of friends who are even who went to law school, and they got out after 3 years of law school and a lot of debt, and they found out that they hate being a lawyer. And I've experienced that with others as well. Friends that I have who are RNs, friends that I have who are CPAs and other professions. I mean, it's really good to get engaged in the world of work before you go on to a degree program, because I've talked with a lot of people over the years who have invested a lot of time and money in education only to find out that it's a different world than they thought once they got into the world of work. So this is a really good way, if you're a young adult, to also test the waters and learn about a field before investing a lot of time and money into it.
And you mentioned people who had been possibly laid off. I think people who have gaps in their resume, like for myself, I was a stay-at-home mom for a number of years. What you're describing sounds like, oh, if this had existed when I was trying to get back into the workforce, this would be ideal.
It can be ideal for someone who's transitioning back in the workforce, whether that is a stay-at-home parent, a military spouse that has gaps in the resume because of frequent moves, taking care of someone who's had to stop out of the workforce in order to take care of a loved one who was sick. Any of those kinds of things. I mean, this could be a really great way to get your feet wet, to network, which is really the most important thing you can do to get a job, is to build a network, and this can help you do that. And skills, of course. It could help you gain marketable skills.
Absolutely. So as far as next steps that people can take, whether they are interested in participating on the job end or on the employer end, you've got your social media information out on the screen. Is that the best contact method right now?
Right now, for My Workforce Future, social media is the best contact information for our organization. And really, it's good in a lot of ways. One way it's good is because it's a very interactive way to engage with us. Feel free to send us a message, leave us a comment. We will update pretty frequently so you can learn about our organization over time. But it's a great way to engage with us. We are at My Workforce Future on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So look for us there, like us, follow us, and we share us. We are new, and we have the ability to help change a lot of lives for the positive and help a lot of employers meet their workforce needs. We are a completely new concept that I think is much needed in the workforce. So again, thank you all for your time, and feel free to connect with us on our social media platforms.
Thank you so much for being here today. I knew a little bit about this entity, but just in talking to you, it's gotten me all excited again, because I'm thinking, wow, there's something that I hadn't really put together. So if you go on social media and see, oh, there's only a few posts, that's because this is hot off the press. You're getting a scoop right here. So you're getting in from the ground up. But I would encourage all viewers, employers and job seekers, to look into this. I think you would be amazed at how many benefits there are. But thank you again, Dr. Boone. I appreciate you being here as always. And I invite you to tune in to our next episode of Inside Jobs.
Thank you, Leslie.